Well, this is Dr. Young, and I'm going to go over your week 2 work presentation that you have and the discussion. So, you have a business ethics presentation, and what you're going to do is read chapter 2, and it tells you if they're, which ones to read, and then answer the questions in your presentation. I don't really have a number of slide requirements, but I do want you to cover these 3 bullets very carefully. The first bullet is really a definition of international business ethics. Please don't copy anything from your text directly. Make sure that if you're using your text as a source, you need to paraphrase anything that you write, because everything is in Turnitin now. And, I'm looking for making sure no one plagiarizes. So, write it in your own words and cite it. One thing about citing, you never use anything word for word from any source. Even if you use the cite, you cite the source, and you have to quote it to be able to do that. And I do not want to see very much quoted information at all, because all that does is tell me you're using someone else's words and you can't write for yourself. So that's going to cause a problem. And so also using the same wording. So what I expect is everyone that's using anyone that uses a source should paraphrase that information and still cite it. So make sure to write in your own words, and I will be looking carefully at that. So just make sure to do that. And then for the second bullet, it's when should local culture affect ethical practices? What are the implications of local norms for ethical decisions by MNC managers? That's multinational corporation managers. So what does all this mean? Basically what I want to see is you do research on, what I would like to see is maybe talk about what international business ethics are first. Talk about, feel free to at that point maybe research an example where, different maybe organizations and how they what are their practices, ethical practices, and how do they affect all of the different, parts of their organization that might be spread out around the world. That would be a good strategy. But what the core of this presentation is talking about ethnocentrism and ethical relativism and how it applies to companies that operate overseas as well as in the United States. Because if you and it doesn't even have to be a company based in the U.S. You could talk about companies based, in Japan, but yet they operate in the United States. So we have a subsidiary of their company here. So then, the company here would operate and have a foundation in Japanese culture. So, that you could approach it from that perspective. But using just an easiest one, like, for example, the U.S. has company, they have, I'll just use McDonald's or something. I'll just use McDonald's. That's probably the easiest one. They're based here, they were formed here, but they operate all over the world. How does local culture affect their practices, ethical practices? And then how do these norms affect the managerial decision-making process? Another example would be discrimination. For example, here, if you operate if you have a corporation that discriminates against gender, then you're probably going to get lawsuits, bad press. You're going to get, going through the court system, and you're going to be in a mess, because that is not something that really is tolerated anymore as much as it used to be. However, if that same organization operates a subsidiary in Saudi Arabia, well, obviously they have completely different views on gender equality. So how would that affect the business operations over there? That's the kind of thing I'm looking to see. And don't use that example. Come up with a different one, but that's kind of a very clear one. More culture will affect how the business operates. So, there's going to be some differences. If I'm a woman working here in the United States at that company, and I'm a woman working over there, there's going to be some major things I'm going to have to deal with that I wouldn't here. So those are just some considerations. So that's how I want you to approach the assignment as far as content. Now, for format, I don't know how familiar you might be with PowerPoints, so I'm going to lay out how I want the PowerPoint to look. This has nothing to do with the content of this course right here. This is strictly for formatting purposes. Now, there is a lot of content on the slide, but I don't want to see all your content on the slide. What this student has done is pretty much written out what they would say here in the notes section, and then put summary bullets on the slide. That's what I want to see. That is the proper way to do it, because I wouldn't want you to put all of everything you would say on the slide, because then you would never do a presentation that way. It would look very unprofessional. But what this person has done is written out what they would say, and then kind of put some short summary bullets on the slide, and graphics, and it has a design background and all that. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for when I'm grading presentations. I want to see visual appeal, professional look, and I want exactly what you would say written in the notes section. So there's not a minimal, also, I'm sorry, in-text citations would go inside the notes section. You see here? Here's one in-text citation there. And then the last slide would be the reference page, as you can see here. So this is the format I want to see in your presentation. I'll attach this presentation to the announcement board as well. Okay, so for your discussion, you're still talking about multinational corporations. So just answer these 3 prompts. What do you think should be the role of MNCs toward human rights issues in other countries? What are the major human rights concerns at this time? What ideas do you have for dealing with these problems? And what is the role of corporate codes of conduct in dealing with these concerns? Feel free to look up some corporate codes of conduct and see if you can find information regarding human rights and how important that is for businesses to recognize. What can managers do, if anything? And how should corporations operate in other countries where they know there are some major human rights concerns? And that's what you're doing for your discussions. Okay, that should be it. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I'll be grading your first assignments Monday night or Tuesday, depending on my time schedule. I hope this is a video is helpful, because I do these every week, so let me know if they're not helpful, if I can improve them, or if you would like to hear something more. Also, I'm just going to go to this site. Yeah, that's, I don't know if we need it, but there's a way to, if you need this, there we go, APA PowerPoint slide presentation. This is just a style guide. Now, the example that I gave you before really isn't as much as APA as it is the structure of the PowerPoint. I want speaker notes, how I want those, but you might want to take a look at this presentation here just to make sure your APA is correct. But it'll be helpful. And I think I posted this last week. Let me check. Let me just go back to the announcement board, because I think I did post it, but yeah, the Outlook Purdue site. If you go there, you can just go down to the presentation and then pull it up and then download it. So that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. I'll be happy to assist you. And let's have a great week. Thanks.